The ocean has always held a sense of mystery and intrigue in its vast depth. Tall tales of sea monsters have haunted fishermen since man took to the sea. Pirates and Davy Jones' dreaded locker has haunted the minds of many men and women. Tonight's story is no exception. If you enjoy my videos, leave me a like, subscribe, and click the bell overhead. Share with your neighbors and friends, and be sure to check out my online store as well. Come back next week for a new video for your entertainment. Now on to tonight's adventure. The ocean has always been treacherous and full of dangerous storms. We have all heard of the Kraken, Leviathan, and even Yarmungard. But have you heard of the tale of monsters that hide as men? Unknown to many sailors, but always ready to dine upon their flesh. I never believed the stories by an old man of the sea, a rough and salty appearance, with a promise of treasure in hand. Now as a sailor and treasure seeker, I have met my fair share of charlatans and their false treasure maps. Sometimes they point to golden artifacts which can be valuable to collectors. Other times, his traps are ambushes that you barely escape from. So I was in a local tavern enjoying the spoils of a recent discovery. It was sold at a museum for a valuable price. A small cove full of antique and maritime artifacts I discovered only a week ago. That's when I overheard the man in the corner explaining where he found a beautiful jeweled covered blade. I made my way to his table, offered a drink in my company if he would share the tale. The sheath of the dagger was adorned with fine jewels. The dagger itself was exquisite, with shiny metal and an inscription carved into the blade. It was well balanced when held, and the hilt had a beautiful ruby buried inside. The sheath was heavy and made from pure gold. This added a majestic feel to the weapon. The old sailor wore a black peacoat and an old hat. The skin on his face was dark and had been toughened by the sun. His left eye had a nasty scar just below it, adding more character to the already weathered face. His build was big and tall, as he stood in reach for the dagger I held. This man had weathered many bad storms from a lifetime spent on the ocean and the seas. He explained how he found a cove full of weapons and armor. I could come see for myself. He needed someone to help him retrieve the treasures, as age had caught up to him. He lacked the strength he had in his youth. Willing to split the treasure with me 50-50 if I would help to retrieve it. I'm a sensible guy and a little greedy. I was not going to let this opportunity pass me by. I took him up on his offer, sealing the deal with a handshake and bottle of scotch. The next morning we woke early, as I had spent the night at his home. The old sailor trusted me, as my mind wondered what other treasure lied in wait. We got into his boat and traveled to a tiny island in the Caribbean. He told me of golden chalices, knives of the purest silver, and many other treasures found in the underwater chamber. I was a good swimmer, so I had no problem going to the salty domain. I asked him if there was any sharks or predators to be wary of, but he laughed at the question. He shook his head and told me there are no sharks in this area, for a pod of dolphins live close by. With that, I jumped into the water as the old captain followed me. We made it to the underwater cavern. I was the first to go in, expecting my eyes to see treasures galore. I was surprised. Instead, I found a tomb full of human bones. I turned to the old man to ask if we were in the right spot. He did not speak. I could feel the change that came over him. What stood before me made me look small. The old muscular man before had now doubled in size. His mouth was full of sharp and jagged teeth. His eyes black as the night. I looked in awe, and then I realized he stood between me and my escape. If I stayed here, chances are I'd become another pile of bones in the corner, with bits of my flesh, no doubt caught in his teeth. The face twisted and became longer. The skin changed to a dark gray color, and scales replaced flesh. We had all heard of shark people, but no one believed that. Well, I do now. He dropped to his knees as the body became less and less human. I bolted past him, desperate to escape. Pain was replaced with shouts of anger behind me. Apparently, he was not happy about his meal escaping. I never looked back as I entered the salty water. I never swam so fast before. I knew this thing was behind me now. My friends, have you ever tried to outswim a fish? Well, let me tell you, it's a bloody hard thing to do. But I tried. I climbed in the boat and grabbed the only weapon I could. In one hand I held a flare gun. The other I tried to start the motor. What came out of the water was a nightmare. Especially if you ever saw the movie Jaws. It had a shark's head and the body of a 8-foot long athletic man. His hands and feet were webbed, but ended in sharp fingernail-like claws. Oh yes, I cannot forget the mouthful of teeth. It still had that same nasty scar under its left eye. I shot the flare gun into its chest. To say the flare burned its scaly skin was an understatement. It stumbled backwards but did not fall. Instead, a clawed hand reached for me and sliced my arm to the bone. I stumbled back and reloaded. The shark creature charged at me, mouth open wide. I aimed and fired the flare gun into his gaping mouth. This time the creature did fall over the edge of the boat. I started the engine and back to the shore I went. That was many years ago. I never found the treasure. The salty dog did leave me a gift. A beautiful jewel covered dagger. For 15 years I have not aged, and much stronger than before. But immortality comes with a price. The hunger for flesh must be answered. I repeat the tale the old man told me. I have contributed my share of human bones to the undersea cavern. But in all my bloodthirst and deception, I did learn a valuable lesson from the old fool. You see, on my boat, there's no weapons on it, especially flare guns. Welcome to the Shadowlands.